In today's episode, we are going to learn about cut bottle art with Michael Fernandez. Now, Michael's going to show us how to cut glass.
Hello. So, we put the glass against the cutting wheel. And
now, this is just a little cutting device you bought at the local craft store?
I did. I found them at a craft store for $30. So, simple, easy, convenient.
Okay.
So, up against the cutting wheel and give a hard turn. And get a good scratch.
Oh yeah, you could hear it cutting the glass. Michael, that was really simple. And tell me a little bit about your cutter.
Well, I found him at a hobby craft store, and it's a very simple off-the-shelf little guy. And the only thing I had to do was simply modify the cutting wheel.
Okay.
I found the original, to be a little too small and a little too fragile. Mm-hmm. So I went and I got a tile cutting wheel. So it's a little heavier. It keeps its blade a little better. And it just works for different thicknesses and types of glass.
Okay, great. Well, that's good to know. Just off the shelf. We like that.
Yes.
So now you're going to show us how to tap out this bottle?
Okay, yes.
Or separate it, I should say.
What we do, they come straight, but what I did was I modified him a little bit, put a little bit of a hook in him.
Okay.
So we can reach the scratch a little better. What you want to do is set the depth of the tapper so you're directly opposite the scratch. Okay. And just gently tap it until it starts a little crack.
Oh yeah, you could see. I could see it from this side.
And you just follow the crack around the bottle. And they don't always go according to plan, so have plenty of glass handy. But once you start the scratch, you follow it and just gently tap it around. Some glass is heavier than others, so you want to control your tap, the strength of it.
Now, I see that you have glasses on, but would you recommend wearing safety goggles?
Always. Protective lenses and dust masks if you can, because there are lots of little shards flying around. Okay. Exactly.
There it goes. It's almost done.
Almost there. Yeah, sometimes it takes a few passes.
So you have to be patient with this part. Wow,
oh, yes you do.
Beautiful. Look at that. That's so great. For our next step, Michael's going to walk us through how to grind the raw glass and the machinery that he uses. So Michael, why don't you go ahead and show us what our next step is?
Well, we start with the raw glass, as you said. We use a grinder. Always wear your face protection. And on the disc grinder, we're going to work all of these rough edges down until we get a flat, smooth surface. Once we get this completely to a flat surface, then we move on to the next grinder.
But before we go to that one, I want you to just tell us a little bit how when you were doing, you were telling me how sometimes you don't like to dip it in the waters.
No. What happens is as you're grinding the glass is going to get hot. So rather than dip it and douse it, which shocks the glass, by the way, it'll crack the glass.
Okay.
So what I do is I'll have 4 or 5 pieces of glass in rotation at the same time. So I can go from one, as soon as he gets hot, I can go to the next one and just kind of rotate through a sequence until the motor gets hot. Actually, that's the one that stops me.
Well, that's a really great tip for people to know if they decide they want to make a set of glasses.
Sure.
Okay, and then what do we do?
Okay, once we've got it down to this flat surface, we move on to the next grinder. Now, this is a regular house grinder that I bought at a hardware store. I removed all the wheels until it's just the bare spindles, right? So then I put on this sanding drum, which I used 6 different grits of paper. But I start with a heavy grit, a 50 or 100 grit, and I create the shape of the bevel. I create a lip on the glass. I start from the inside and then work my way to the outside until I get a nice round dome. And then I go through the various grits, 100, 200, 300, 400, up to 600.
Wow.
So I get it round, really, really clean, shiny.
And I love how you made your own adaptation out of an existing machine to work for you. That's really cool.
We find necessity is the mother of invention.
Exactly. Now for the last step, what are we going to do to get it all nice and smooth?
Well, the next thing, after we've got our bevel and we've gone through up to 600 grit, then we come over to the buffing wheel.
Okay.
And we finish off the edge and we get a real nice shine out of it.
Yeah, look at that. That's great. I mean, boy, it looks so professional.
That's the idea.
It's beautiful. You did a great job with that, Michael.
Thank you.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to share some of Michael's great creations with you. Michael, this is just wonderful what you've done and how you've turned this into really kind of a fine art of cutting glass. Could you just kind of walk us through some of the cool things you've done?
Well, I'd be glad to. We'll start with some of the little glasses that I started with. These, the Coronitas, and some of these smaller ones, the Absolute and the Cook's Champagne over here, and those little blue ones that are medicine bottles. It turns out those are pretty tough to do.
I bet they are.
But a lot of people like the little shooters, so to speak, right? And the thing is that some of them are very thin glass, so it's a real test of the tapping. Right? Some of the others, they just sell because they have that brand recognition. People know what that is. It looks good on a desk or a table.
And I love how you've done the different millimeters of Grey Goose, shall we say?
It turns out to be a popular flavor. A lot of people like it.
I can't imagine you actually drink all this.
Oh, God, no.
So how have you gone to some local bars that give you their...
Absolutely. That's 90% of what I get. Comes from bars and different clubs that they're more than happy to donate what they have. It's a green business.
It's definitely green. That's what I find so exciting about it, because instead of it going into the landfill, now you've made some beautiful art pieces, great vases. And drinking glasses, and I love how we want to pick some daisies for my garden. But
they look good.
They make great little vases and things. Michael, thank you so much. This
is my pleasure.
Really exciting for us, and I hope our viewers will enjoy it as much as we did. And you'll be able to get more information on Michael from his website.